And we are back with Blindfolded Ritlock. What do you guys think that means?
Oh, man. I have no idea. This is glad to ask.
Bobby knows. Look at how smug you are.
I
oh
do
my
know.
gosh.
Oh, goodness.
You are so pleased with yourself right now.
Yeah,
okay.
interesting stuff, right?
Yeah, seriously. Welcome to Points of Interest, episode 10. We've made it to 10 episodes. I am really, really excited. I'm excited to have you guys here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
So,
Hello,
yeah.
friends.
So, I am Ruby. Byron.
Byron.
Designer. Bobby Stein. Lead writer for Guild Wars 2. So I am really, really glad to have you guys here to talk about Echoes of the Past with us. Yeah. Everybody's been really, really excited. I'm glad you guys are having fun with the new release. I have been having a blast. You guys have caused me to lose a lot of sleep. We're going to have words about that later.
Oh, dear.
I keep looking up. It's like 1 in the morning, and I'm going, oh, my gosh, I have to get up in like 4 hours. Okay, just seriously, one more event. I really need to go to bed, though. And I keep losing a lot of time. So thank you, and also curse you.
You're
really,
welcome.
really causing me problems. So we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, but I kind of want to look at some fan art first because that's what we do. Let's take a peek at the first thing. We always have such cool stuff I have a hard time picking, so let's take a look at the first item. I'm going to let Josh call that up. This one is some cosplay from Morwen that I absolutely love. I've been waiting for a while to pull this up. This is from Morwen, my cosplay costume on fax in Belgium. This is a Necro in the Dry Bones armor, which I'm absolutely crazy about.
Oh, man.
How awesome is that? I could never do this. I'm just always in awe of all of the little detailed pieces.
Wow.
And I was kind enough to pull this up on a closer monitor so you guys can get a look too.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Goodness. I wonder how the mask was made. It looks like it was some sort of, maybe it's a sculpted piece?
I don't know. This is so way beyond me that I'm always just completely in awe. But look at all the little shading around the edges.
Yeah. It's really impressive.
I'm in love with this. So let's take a look. We could sit here and just ooh and ah over this forever. So let's scoot on to the next piece and see what that one is. Okay, I was talking to somebody in the building earlier. I really try to do a variety every show and feature some different artists. Culinary cosplay pops up every episode. I can't help it. They make recipes from our game.
Yeah.
This one is Ida's apple pie.
Yeah, it's really hard to see the person behind all of the makeup there. It's really impressive. They've done some work.
I can't help it, okay? Stop judging me. It's really, really amazing. Just really delicious stuff every week. So thank you again, Culinary
Has anyone
Cosplay.
actually tasted that?
I would really like to. Just saying. No hinting, but I would really like to try some of Culinary
nice.
Cosplay's creations. I'm not even sure where they're located, but just letting you know, I'm not averse to tasting some of the things you've made. So let's move on, because there's like a drool thing happening here. It's a problem. Oh gosh, the Sylvari hair is absolutely amazing. This was just like, oh gosh, I was kind of bored. I was looking at a hair magazine, no big deal. And then came up with these gorgeous creations, and you really, really undersold yourself. Just kind of acting like it was no big deal, and I drew this thing in my spare time. You know, I threw it out there. These are really, really, just really beautiful work. So don't sell yourself short. You did beautiful work. There was a sunflower-based one. There's one that's like a Venus flytrap based.
Yeah, the bottom right, I think.
Yeah, this one.
Oh, all the way on the right, yeah.
Yeah, over on the right. We have like a 2-and-2 thing here that we're looking at.
Yeah. Man, my necromancer would really like that rightmost set. That looks really cool.
Yeah, they are absolutely gorgeous. And I put these in front of, just to let you know, I put these in front of Kristen Perry, who does a lot of our Sylvari hair. She got a kick out of it. So she really liked them. She thought they were pretty good too. So
cool. Yeah,
don't sell yourself short. You did really beautiful work. And we have 2 more, I think. Let's take a peek. Oh, I love this one. Let's see. This one was actually second place in the 3,500 gold art contest.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got quite a kick out of this, and it's just a good look at some weapons that I will never have.
Isn't that that's the Ascalon sword, though, right?
That is. I'm kind of looking at that great sword on the right, though.
Oh, sure.
I'm just going to sit here and look. This is as close as I'm ever going to get. I don't know. I'm a little bit too casual to.
Do you know of any idea where it takes place, where the shot is framed? Like, do we know where that location is?
I'm not sure. This is just the information I have is that this was the second place art winner, and I can see why it was a prize-winning piece. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you for the submission. All right, let's scoot through to the last one because I got such a laugh out of this. Is that not amazing?
Oh man!
Look at his teeth. This one,
Candy corn.
yeah, we missed out on Halloween because Ready Up fell on last week's Halloween. But I wanted to just get one little Halloween thing in there. This one says, Quaggan is getting ready for Halloween by dressing up as a ferocious char. And I love the Quaggan is char. And I love the candy corn teeth. That was just the perfect touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I got such a kick out of that one. And it's just such a Quaggan thing to do, is taking that little candy corn and sticking it in there. Because you don't want to be too scary if you're Quaggan.
Yeah, and then people blur the line between the rage thing.
Yeah, then you're just getting into Hulk out Quaggan, and we can't have that.
Well, it's great. There's the little smock that shows the char face, kind of like those store-bought costumes where it's just the bib with the picture of I'm this, and then you've got a couple of other little things to help sell it.
I didn't think about that. I like it. No,
Yeah,
I
it's a
couldn't
costume
get
in
past
a
the
bag.
candy corn teeth.
Yep.
It's like sticking the pretzels in your mouth and go, I'm a walrus.
Those like witch fingers, you with the I don't know what the name of those crackers are or whatever, but
Bugles.
Oh,
yeah,
Bugles. Yes.
You have bugle claws.
And that is totally a Quaggan thing to do.
Oh, man.
I love it. All right, that is, yeah, I could sit here and just grin at that forever because Quaggan are the cutest. All right, let's get back to talking about Echoes of the Past, because if we have half as much fun as we did talking about this on Monday,
Yeah, that was good.
we just can't talk about some of the things that we scooted forward way into the future, so we're
Yeah,
going
we
to have to
did.
behave ourselves a little
We got to
bit.
rein it in.
Yeah. Bobby, let's start with kind of talking about what you focused on while you were working on Echoes of the Past.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, I work with the team to try and shore up the story stuff that's going to take us through this, the entire season, right? So trying to, focus on certain plot things and subplots, characterization, and just making sure they have what they need, right, to hit the deadlines and hit our crazy schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, episode 5, we wanted to start, we want to resume the season with a pretty big start, do a couple things that we had been talking about. And a lot of the events that take place in the episode were things that we had seeded more than a year ago. So it was great to finally see it go live and hear the responses, because I think, frankly, I know I was unsure how people were going to react to it, because a lot of the Living World stuff has kind of been in its own bubble, and this is where we're trying to kind of do a bit more crossover with the core game, and even going back to Guild Wars 1. So this was, it was an interesting thing that we tried and weren't sure about, and we're happy that it turned out as well as it did.
Yeah.
I think you don't really have anything to worry about as far as how people liked the new content.
Yeah, it was good. It was
So-
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make too. It's one of the things that we worked really hard on was trying to stay really true to the Guild Wars 1 experience, but also sort of we've got a brand new game with a brand new world. How can we bring and bridge those two together? And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that Byron and I talked about, and we had so much fun talking about this, was that a big part of game development is that not everything is going to make it, because you come in and you have all of these amazing ideas, and don't you? I know you guys really love it when everybody's like, "Listen, I have a great idea for a game. I have a great idea for a game. I could make a game." But not all of them are going to make it.
Well,
So
yeah.
we talked about some things that didn't make it in.
Like, for example, we originally wanted to make, well, at least when we sat down and started sort of figuring out what we were going to do with Clint's Lair, I had an idea to have it to be a puzzle instance instead of a combat instance, and we were going to use you could summon these different versions of yourself that would run forward and sort of pierce through these veils of light, and it was this whole thing. And then we got a couple weeks, a month into development, and realized like puzzles are one of the hardest things to do, and if we wanted to do this right, we maybe not want to do this. So we ended up actually cutting that and sort of going back more towards what the original instance was, which was a sort of combat-based instance. And that, I mean, it had its ups and its downs. I mean, we had some leftover stuff from when we cut the puzzle that still sort of maintained itself in the instance. The Master of Peace projections, I think, were a good example of that. Like, that was supposed to be a big part of the puzzle mechanic and sort of the idea of the light of the space. And when we cut the puzzle, we didn't actually go sort of and revisit those as a storytelling device. And I think we struggled up till the very end with what those sort of meant and how they helped progress the story. And I know that a lot of the feedback that we got, it was sort of like, you know, what are these things? Who is this guy? And it was really hard to sort of figure out and to present that in a way that made a lot of sense. I think that was sort of a thing that we struggled with, you know, about, right, I said, up until the very end. But I think, you know, the upside to the whole process was after we decided that the puzzle mechanic thing wasn't going to work and sort of going away from that, really when we make cuts like that, it's only for the best of the instance. And I think that having to do both would have been too much, and the experience would have been a bit lackluster. So I'm actually really glad that we ended up sort of scaling back and re-examining what we were doing, because I think in the long run it really strengthened the instance as a whole.
Well, yeah, you never want to push forward. You're like, well, this is going to make it suck, but I really like my idea, so I'm going to push out something that's crummy and I don't care.
It can sometimes be really hard too, because we'll prototype it early on. You know, we'll have an outline of how the release is supposed to be. You know, what's the story, what are the gameplay instances, and the open world things that kind of connect them, and you know, we'll look at it you know, within the team and kind of make some assessments and judgments. What's working? You know, what can we try? And then, you know, we'll get feedback from other folks, and sometimes it's a little hard to let go, but at the same time, when you know that at the end of the day, we're just trying to make it as tight and as strong as we can with the amount of time that we have. And I think as cool as it would have been to introduce this new mechanic, just talking about how are we going to teach it, how long is it going to take you to get through? Is this actually going to, you know, give the player enough play time, or is it going to be a little confusing? You know, so we had to try and play to the game's strengths and kind of the things that we know would work, rather than trying to go off in all these crazy directions. And then spoilers, by the way. So we're going to be talking about stuff they may not have played, so you may want to come back after you played it.
Earmuffs.
So the Master of Peace, the memories of being in the lair, and it was meant to show a progression of him getting in there and searching around to try and find the egg. And it was meant to be very kind of vague and obscure. We pretty much knew that people weren't going to, like, who is this guy? They might not remember what he looked like, and what is he doing? And it really was supposed to be mysterious until the very end. But then once you look back on it, a lot of what we've been trying to do is we put a lot of the pieces out there, and there are some of the connections that are missing between them. But then once we actually get to that point where it all connects, it makes sense. And when you look back on it, you can see how it was all structured and planned out. So, I mean, that was kind of the thing too with the filling people in who maybe weren't familiar with the whole Glint story and Guild Wars 1. And, you know, we kind of wrestled, how are we going to fill people in a way that isn't going to slow them down from playing, but they're going to learn what they need. And, you know, we had multiple versions of the instance where, you know, you would beat the fight and then you would just kind of sit around and talk for a while, and we were like, yeah, but do we want to hold people in place? The funny thing is I've seen people on live play, and they will go and they will just sit and wait for the stories to finish before they move on, and there are other people who just want to kind of get into the action again, and they can run ahead, so we kind of remove that gating mechanism. And
I think it's important, especially in a situation like that. You were talking about the Marjorie and Casimir scenes where they sort of relate with each other the stories that they heard, you know, growing up about Glint Slayer and sort of what it means to them. And I think that really what we came down to the choice was, like, do we give players the freedom to choose? And I think that was really what we wanted to do, is like, I can stay and listen to Marjorie talk about when she dressed up as, or was it Jory or Kaz, I can't remember, when they, you know, what they did as their childhood. And I think that, like, letting players have that choice, like, I want to pay attention, or I want to get right into the fights, or I want to do the combat, I want to get to the end and stuff like that. I think that that sort of, we've been hearing a lot of that kind of feedback from all over the place in the past releases, and I think it's sort of coming together quite nicely.
Yeah, we're trying to find that balance where we want to give you enough information. The library is also a really good example. We want to put the information in there, but if you just want to get through the instance, you can kind of breeze through it.
That's actually an interesting point. That's something that you and I had talked about on Monday, where Kaz and Joey are sitting back there talking.
Yeah.
We had talked about how the players, a lot of our players were saying, well, I'm supposed to be the commander. I'm the one who's leading this, but I'm just kind of the guy hanging around on the sidelines while all of these people do this stuff. And once we got into Glint's Lair, we're there, and we're the ones by ourselves and saying, you know what, I got this. I can handle this. I am the leader. I'm the strong one, and it's okay.
Yeah, it was important from the beginning that, and I think this is something we wanted to address, was that it especially in Glint's Lair, you sort of you get to a point where you are removed from your friends, right? They are in a different area and they can't get to you, and you sort of realize that really quickly, and they say, hey, we're going to take off. You all right? And of course you're all right. You're the commander. You're strong. So you're going to be able to sort of face all the challenges yourself, and it'll be fine. I think that sort of that tied into the whole experience that we wanted with Glint's Lair, which is, the area itself is sad and sort of lonely and empty. The matron's dead, the clutch is smashed, and all of that stuff, and so the magic is sort of draining out of the area. It's falling apart, sort of like, in my mind, I always sort of imagined it as like glaciers, sort of creaking and falling apart slowly. And part of the important sell on that was making sure that the player felt that sort of aloneness and that sense that they are going to be with themselves only. And so that's why we put Marjorie and Casimir in the center. It's why you can see them, but they can't see you, that you can't get to them. There's that. So you sort of get a step back from that
sense of isolation. Yeah, and I know the everything from the art to the audio in that room is kind of meant to kind of sound like it's creaking and a
Very
bit
desolate.
echoey, and exactly. That you're in there kind of relying more on your own wits, or with the people who are directly in your party. Well, and just also the fact that we wanted it to be more about the ambient experience, the ambient storytelling, and the gameplay that feels very much tied to that area, and it's unique. And this way, like at the very end, the fact that if you hang around in that instance, or in a bunch of the other ones, if you just wait a second, you either will hear characters start to talk, and if you want to hear what they have to say, you can take a seat and listen, or you can go up, like in Ogden's case. You can get quite the history lesson from him, and we didn't want to force anybody to sit through that to slow them down, but we wanted to make it available for the people who really care. Yeah. So we're just trying to always find that balance.
Yeah, that was, coming down there and finally talking to Ogden was
well, and just
that was quite a moment.
Yeah, getting that character back in and working with Fred Tatasciore again. He's the voice actor who does Ogden and a bunch of other characters in the game. I think he does Mad King Thorn, if I'm not mistaken, also. But anyway, yeah, he's just wonderful, and I think he really brings that character to life. So, but yeah, the episode goes through a bunch of iterations between when we start the process, and so for example, when we were earlier in the season, so that whole instance with Belinda is something that was actually intended to happen earlier in the season, and it was one of those things where, like, we had cut the puzzle mechanic in Glint's Lair. We actually cut that that sort of loose thread with Belinda and Marjorie. We were originally, I think, going to put it in episode 3, and then we moved it, and I don't remember if it was a scope decision or if it was something that, like, hey, it just doesn't really kind of sit in here as neatly. Then we were going to have it in 4, but we couldn't figure out a good placement to where it wouldn't feel like it, so then 5 and then beyond, and, it was just a lot of back and forth, but then that instance had gone through a bunch of permutations, but I think by the time we finally figured, okay, here's where we're going to put it, here's how it's going to play out, and then we got a chance to sit down and work on, here are the emotions that you need to be conveyed in the cinematic, and we're just going to keep it silent, like their expressions will tell the player exactly what's going on, and it's a lot less about, just pushing the main plot along, but really just trying to resolve some of the things that are going on between Marjorie grieving for her sister and kind of what's going to happen with her sister after that, and so.
You know what? Somebody has a question up there. Whose idea was it to have the guy shushing people in the Durman? Was that you?
No, that was actually the audio team. We got them
That's
in
amazing.
really early, and they were like, wow, it's. I think it was actually sort of simultaneously audio and writing. Angel wrote a bunch of scenes with the scholars in
Angel
there.
and Alon, I think, did the shushy.
Right, and then the audio team heard it, and they really went. They really brought it up to the next level and had a lot of fun with, like, each of the little creaking things always gets a shush, and there's that one guy that's like, hush, every time you do anything loud. And I mean, it was a blast, and they had a lot of time in there to play and have fun
great.
with some of those things, yeah.
But you know, there was, and that just, I want to kind of wrap us up on a lighter note, because there was one thing that I know you did. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
You put Angry Bloodstone Dust Guy in there.
I put Seymour in.
Seymour is amazing.
We're going to see more of him in the future, that's for sure.
That was horrendous.
Oh, he was.
I hope you're embarrassed. That was so bad.
Man, it was so good. So I worked on, previous to this, on the last release, I worked on the Madri back piece and sort of the whole progression system there. And we had some fun with that, obviously. It's a couple of oblique references. And then when I was starting work on the layer in the Priory instance, I saw the chef I went to the Priory HQ, and I walked around to sort of get a feel for what it felt like and who the NPCs were that were there. And I saw the chef and the sous chef there, and they looked like they were having an argument. So for some filler, because Ella McKay takes a really long walk to the kitchen, I wanted to have something that sort of happened there at the end, and I wrote this stupid little scene about bloodstone dust as a sort of as a cheeky nod to what I had done before, and for people who were paying attention, and it just ended up being a fun thing, and so
it was amazing. I actually sat there going, did that just?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a good time with that.
It was pretty great. Mm-hmm. That was awesome. So thank you very much for that. So
there's another question I really want to answer. The Priory find the Abaddon statue. I can't.
Can you answer that without Bobby punching you?
No.
Well, so I do want to talk about. I do want to talk about.
Hold on. How do we feel about Bobby punching you?
I mean, I think I could take him. He's got the guns, but I think I could stand my own. I will say that we
all right, you
with
two,
the Abaddon,
work it out.
It's fine. Be cool, like Fonzie. So when we were actually building the
best thing ever.
the Priory basement, and by the way, big shout out to the artists that worked with us on that, Gwen and Dahe and James and Tammy and Carol. Man, they really killed it on those instances. Gwen actually found this statue, and she's like, I'd love to put this in here. We were sort of worried about it, I remember, because it was like, it's Abaddon, right? Like, what is he doing in the Priory?
Do we want to open that up?
But it seemed to me, and I think that why we kept it in, at least in part, is so if you've ever seen any old manuscripts, illuminated manuscripts and stuff like that, you have marginalia that are sort of drawn around the borders, and those sort of serve as both as a warning and as one of those things that you're not really supposed to pay attention to them. They're off limits, and you're supposed to pay attention to the religious text. And so I felt like putting Abaddon's statue in there with the sort of reminder on the ceiling that's the secrets are dangerous, and this is the place where all the secrets live, right? And so if you overstep your bounds and you sort of you get too invested in bad things can happen. So it sort of was. I think that's one of the big reasons why we kept it in there. And I don't know if anyone's had a chance to dance with Abaddon, but it might be interesting.
Yeah, it's worth trying.
They're asking about it in chat. They want to know who did it.
Yeah, that was me. It was based on some feedback from some folks, but it took me. I heard about it, and 2 minutes later it was in a build. So
great.
Yeah, it was fun.
So fantastic. So we are getting super close on time, and there are a couple other things that we need to do.
Sure.
So we want to finish up. One thing that we did that ended up, it wasn't the greatest thing, but it ended up with a couple of funny moments. We had these, okay, so again, spoilers, but you already gave the earmuff warning.
Earmuffs.
We sent out these hourglasses to a couple of our friends here and there, and some of them didn't quite make it through shipping. Sorry. And we had, Richie Procopio did a unboxing that turned out just to be the worst unboxing ever. Richie is the best sport on the planet. Thanks, Richie. and then he repaired it. So we have the video just cracked us up. So we have the video of that, and I got him to send me the video. So we want to show that video really quick because it just kind of tickled us. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate this. Was super fun, and I'm going to need you both to come back.
Absolutely.
At some point. So thank you guys.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Let's wrap up and show that video.
Howdy folks, my name is Richie, aka Bog Otter. If you watched my video from a few days ago, you know that ArenaNet sent me a trinket. The marketing team, or the community team over there, sent me a trinket to kind of celebrate and commemorate the new patch that's coming out next Tuesday, Echoes of the Past. And the artifact did not survive the shipping process. You can see it was supposed to be like a sand timer or an hourglass, and it came up all broken into a bunch of different pieces, and it was kind of a bummer because it does look really cool. And in the trailer, it looks like some of our favorite NPCs are using this sand timer or an hourglass in order to get a glimpse of what happened in the past, or maybe even go back in time themselves. We're not sure yet. So you could say, in the trailer, the actual artifact they use blows up, so you could say that this was an accurate representation of what's going to happen in-game, but I thought I would try to maybe repair this, put this together, and make it actually look whole again. So I have a couple things I'm going to use to fix this up. I got some crazy glue, that's pretty standard. I've got some packing tape that I'm going to use, an X-Acto knife, some scissors. I've got silly putty, that's going to be important, I think. Can of compressed air, and of course my Max Rebo Star Wars buddy. So I'm just gonna take all this stuff down here for a second, and let's kick some of this stuff, and we shall repair. I'm actually pretty good at this kind of stuff. All right, and yeah, that actually looks pretty good. All right, so there we go. What do you guys think? I think I did a pretty good job. Looks awesome. Cool. So this is the Hourglass sand timer. Sorry, that was horrible. But I got sent a new one. Thank you so much, ArenaNet. I will try to make this focus as best as possible. You can see, like sands through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives. It's got double dragons. Okay, and then this kind of like symbol-y thing here. Looks like it almost looks like Celtic, a Celtic kind of like symbol there, and you got the double dragons and the sand timer in the middle, and the whole thing will stand on this extremely heavy block, which I showed last time. It does say Guild Wars 2 Living World. I've known since the moment we heard the roar, the pale tree of the Sylvari. So it will sit upon this, and I will cherish this little trinket. So thank you so much to ArenaNet for sending me out another one. This is not necessary by any stretch, but it's definitely appreciated. This is really cool. I'm super excited for the patch. Just a couple days more. Of course, until the patch hits, I'm going to farm those trick-or-treat bags, trying to get that small little mini Ghost Wolf Winifred pet thing that nobody seems to be able to get. But so I'm going to try to take advantage of the time in Halloween while it's left, but I'm very excited for the patch. So thank you to ArenaNet. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time in Tyria. Take care.
Are you lost?
A little bit. I'm definitely on the wrong show, it seems. Or maybe not.
You are not on the wrong show.
Oh, not on the wrong show. Wow, that's convenient. So hi guys, I'm Hugh Norfolk, PvP designer over here at ArenaNet, here with Miss Ruby.
I really thank you for taking some time to come over here.
No problem.
So we are bringing Hugh over to, my mouth wants to say ready up so badly right now. I'm having a difficult time not saying. We're bringing Hugh over to Points of Interest. We are going to introduce a new segment on Points of Interest. It's really hard not to say ready up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by this. So we're going to start doing a very short thing at the end of POI every episode called PvP 101. This is difficult. I've just found myself talking a lot lately to hardcore PvE players who kind of want to get into PvP, but they keep looking at that PvP side going, I got nothing. I have no idea where to start. And every time I talk to these people, I find myself going, that's me. I mean, Hugh, it's been like, what, a year now that I keep saying,
Yeah.
shut up.
I mean, it is. It's a really daunting thing. You know, it seems slightly segregated from the world. It's a totally different kind of experience than a lot of players are used to. I mean, I will say, like, the biggest thing, like, when I did the original World v. World 101 back a long time ago.
Way back when.
Long time ago. And I was talking for like an hour just to get the basics of World v. World, right? And so I think, like, this is a good segment where we can just do little things, hit specific points, and just kind of give you guys almost like homework, right? Where you guys can go out, check a couple things out, see what you guys think, and then next POI come back and see what's next, and kind of give you that little bridge to get over that hump that is jumping the ship to PvP.
It is, because I'm actually going to be doing this along with you guys because I'm a complete PvP noob. Q can attest to this.
You know, I remember you asked me for a build a long time ago, and I gave her a build, and you know what? She played it, and you were super happy. You're like, man, look, I was
excited, and what happened was I got myself a private arena. I got my own little arena, and I went in there with my guildmates, and they beat the crap out of me. Really, really did. Because I had no idea what I was doing. I just went in blind, and I said, you know what? It's a lot. I'm just going to back and kill Tequatl some more. Yeah. Forget this. Forget it. I'm done. Yeah. I didn't really have anybody to guide me right out of the gate. So we are going to do that, and it's just going to be a little 5-minute thing. Yep. At the end of every POI. This is hard. Oh my gosh. I know. I did not see that coming. So I'm going to do this along with you guys. And the thing that's really cool about this is there are living world rewards. There are PvE rewards to be had for this, and I'm going to have Hugh kind of show those off real fast. Yeah. So one of the big things that's really we added to PvP in April this year was we added the ability to actually get rewards for your character in PvP, PvE rewards as well as some unique PvP rewards. So over here, if you want to open up, I'll actually go back and explain this. At the very top of your screen, you'll see two swords right there. As soon as you click that, it opens up the PvP menu. You'll see this thing which shows you like how many games you've played and all that good stuff. Games won, matches played, all that good stuff. But over here, one of the tabs is reward track. So what's a reward track? Reward track is essentially as you play PvP, you can you get progress towards your reward track. And on this kind of shows you the rewards you can get. So like one of the things I'll show here, which is one of my favorites, is the Balthazar backpack. It's actually a unique skin to PvP. You can only get it. It's a one-shot, so as soon as you do it, you're done. But you get like, you know, you get some molten shards. You get some charged lodestones. You get some dragonites, some champion bags. You get, what else we got here? Imperial fragments, obsidian shards, mystic clovers. I mean, if you guys are working for your legendaries and you guys, you know, don't want to run through the mystic forge, super hard to get sometimes things, you can actually go to PvP and just play PvP, and you actually can get your legendary through this. Another thing we got here is obviously the Glorious Armor Reward Track, which is unique armor skin in PvP. Only got through PvP. You run through the reward track, you get some champion bags, you get, again, obsidian shards, all that good stuff. But, like Ruby said... They're all like, look how noob she is, holy crap. I mean, it's true, though. Like, Ruby's not really, she's not joking. She's played... She's played very little PvP, and I pretty much the only experience I remember really talking with her about is when I gave her a build for, I believe it was Warrior, and you just went in with your guildmates, right? So it's actually gonna be a journey where, you know, I do my best to help you guys, PvE players, get into PvP and realize it's the initial part feels very daunting, but once you get in, you'll be surprised how once that hook grabs you, man, you just want to keep playing. You know what? One of the things that really got me thinking about this finally was when John Corpening and I were coming to work, and he was telling me this great story about, I think his adopted Ev guild, his guildmates and him were talking, and they were going in, he took them into an arena. Yeah. And he was like, okay, so you guys are new and you don't really know what you're doing. And he was like, okay, I'll help you. And you guys, okay, I want you, you know, you go to this place and you go to this place and you go to that place. And he's thinking, all right, I'm giving you the basics here. Yeah. And I'm listening to it and I'm going, they have no idea what the words coming out of your mouth were. Yes. And it got time to start. He took off running and he said, and they just ran in every direction and they didn't do anything I said. Yeah. And I said, that's because they didn't know what you were telling them. Yes. But the one thing about the story that gets really interesting is the fact that once they actually start understanding it, they love it. Like they really play it a lot. And it's not even like at a super competitive level, but just a fun factor. Just going in there and playing around and beating up people for 15 minutes and then going back to your living world or
playing for an hour and then going back. You know, it's
Yeah, once he figured out he needed to back up a few steps and he helped them at a different level,
Yep.
they were, oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the first little segment here. Like, first thing I want you guys to look at when you guys get in the game, first bit of homework, open the PvP panel, look at the reward tracks, look at the rewards on this. Like, just by taking a mouse and highlighting over them, look to see if anything really appeals to you. And then, you know, next time we come back, we'll drive how to actually select a reward track, how to get all that stuff in, and start talking about some other things. But yeah, first episode, first bit of homework. That's right. PvP 101.
Thank you, Hugh.
No problem.
All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.